morning, good afternoon, good evening, roadies. It is the Irish Flatcap On Tour. A weekly collaboration continues with the Irish Hotspur, who for some reason is not here yet. We're gonna dig him hard. But we are here with Jack from Flatcap Euro Talk and the Irish Hotspur, and of course Adam Clarke and Brian Dago from Tottenham On Tour. It's Friday, so it's casual Fridays here. We like to sort of prepare ourselves for the weekend without too much stress, and of course without too much stress. It's nearly impossible to do that when it comes to supporting Spurs. So we'll try to make it as simple as possible. But Brian, good to see you, buddy. How are you doing?
Yeah, another day in paradise. And you know what? Jack last week said the perfect thing that I said, the wrap up of the week. Well, what a week. The weekly wrap up.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, yeah. Quite a week to wrap up.
It is.
Many things to wrap.
Yeah, we'll be wrapping up. We'll start obviously with the silly interview that we all have kind of it's been talked about a lot. He's about to have his press conference, and I'm super curious about that. So obviously we'll get a chance to watch that after this stream. But I think he's probably happening right now. Alistair Gold posted it. Adam Clarke, good to see you, buddy. How's things with you? You all right?
Yeah, fine. Yeah, just another week of madness supporting Tottenham. Like, it would just become a tradition. Like, I mean, I've been doing this for over a decade now, and so I'm used to it. That doesn't mean I have to like it though. But I don't know what the next game will bring. Honestly, the next week probably some more unpredictable madness. I mean, it just never gets boring supporting Tottenham, whether it's
true,
good
right?
times or bad times. Never.
We always have content. That's the key. It's good for our channels.
That's why we're so big. Yeah,
exactly. Jack, welcome back to the show. Good to see you, buddy. Haven't had a chance to chat with you post the comments and post game, so I'm looking forward to talking to you and talking to David when he gets here. David will be joining us. He's just he has some things happening, and he'll hop in momentarily. But Jack, post the interview. Let's get that sort of ugliness out of the way. How did you react? What was your sort of response to that? Because we went in depth with it yesterday. We kind of went through each talking point and spoke about some of it. Some of it, I think most of us agreed with, and it was necessary. And then some of us, or myself included, was a bit like, "Why are you doing that now? Is that good for the squad right now?" What are your thoughts on it? Do you back him, or is part of you still a little bit annoyed? What are your thoughts?
It's difficult to say because, I kind of was surrounded by people last night also kind of discussing the points that seemed to have no problem with it whatsoever. So, I started to, kind of really think to myself, like, what parts really maybe are actually, completely true and maybe worth saying. And, it's a tough one. Probably, I think what maybe needs to come out and be said is that Conte's had carbon copies of these, like, kind of throughout his entire managerial career. He just seems to kind of lose it at times. He seems to be a bit of, a child, perhaps even after losing. And what's actually kind of funny is it seems like most world-class big winning managers kind of are. I've seen Pep have a few temper tantrums. I've seen Jurgen Klopp, complain about everything under the sun, for the reason that they've lost. I've seen lots of managers who are at the top of their game seemingly having kind of temper tantrums. But Antonio Conte seems to just be one that absolutely lacks no logic at times when it comes to things, because he'll be complaining about one thing one week, and then the next week he'll be saying, like, "Oh my gosh, like, I couldn't love my squad even more. Like, if I had one more player, like, he would say, like, it'd be too many, and then the next week he'll be saying, criticizing the amount of players that he has in the squad." And I think it's something that maybe perhaps we're just going to have to get used to, maybe with Antonio Conte. He did it at Inter at one stage where he just went on a huge tirade about all the players that didn't have experience for the Champions League, even though half of those players he personally requested that summer to sign. So to be honest, I think we're talking about maybe we're starting to realize that in fact, Antonio Conte might be human, and he might have flaws, and he might have, personal issues. Might have personal issues with losing. I know, Dave does after a few FIFA matches and things like that. Sometimes the best of us are not, often shown. The best qualities are not maybe shown of us after losing. And I think Antonio Conte might perhaps be one of those guys. And we're going to have to come, to terms with it. And to be honest, I've said this before. My final little thought here is, if I had to pick, Harry Winks and Davinson Sanchez every single week, I would also be in a mental asylum like him. So
you understand his frustration, right? Like, the frustration is understandable, but it's also, My point was I don't know how good it is for the squad. I wonder what that day is like the next day in training, right? Like he's got to go into training the next day and he has to basically face the squad. Yeah, and be like, okay, guys,
the awkwardness.
Yeah, like I'm curious, Brian. We spoke about this obviously very recently, but any more thoughts to add to sort of a couple of days of kind of speaking to people about it, but also kind of letting it sink in that this is like Jack said, this is Antonio Conte. This is what he does. He's done this at every squad he's been at, or every club he's been at. We're not seeing much different, other than maybe the timing of it because he came mid-season. But it's certainly a heck of a lot different than anything else.
So no, but you know what? My feelings are still the same. Listen, as I said at the very, very beginning, Conte knew what he was getting with Levy, and Levy knew what he was getting with Conte. Straight away, there's going to be a war of words over money. Simple as. There was always going to be.
Yeah, it's inevitable.
Obviously, again, with Levy hiring Mourinho, we knew he needed money. He didn't get, but this is a completely different kettle of fish. It's just the same thing repeating itself.
Mm-hmm.
And with Conte, I'm not. People write their opinion and saying, "Listen, what's it going to do for the rest of the squad? What's it going to do for the team?" Half that team aren't fit to wear the shirt, so I'm not particularly bothered at how bad their feelings are hurt.
Yeah, I'm not worried about feelings. I'm more worried about.
Night, Brad. Like, do we even care?
No, but I mean, in general, not it's like someone's calling you out. You've been on this gravy train for a very, very long time. Like I said, with Man U, people were saying with Ragniak, they knew if the players don't want him, they'll just play up for 6 months, or they won't do, and then they don't because they don't know if he's going to be there. And that's what they do. And we've had players here that have done it to Jose, that have done it to Nuno, that have done it to Poch.
Well, he basically says that too, right? He's like, just the same thing that's in that interview specifically says like they seem to blame the managers every time, but it's the same players every time. Like
nothing has
blatantly
changed.
Said this is an issue with the players.
It is. I mean, the only thing I'll add to that is, like I said, this is not the huge problem. Is Daniel Levy, but there's Antonio Conte who is playing this formation that he does not have the footballers to play.
Yeah, we talked about that yesterday. I want to talk to Jack about that.
That's where Conte's problem is.
Yeah, for sure. Ads, but just go to you quick before we talk about that formation, because I think that is a key issue, and I'm curious as to what his position is on it in regards to from a tactical perspective. Is he getting it wrong? But Ads, anything to add from what we spoke about yesterday in regards to this interview? We had a day or two or day and a half to sort of let it stew. My position hasn't really changed that much. I just wish he wasn't so overly emotional, but at the same time, I prefer that than just not doing anything. But anything to add, Adam?
Do you know what? That interview was really symbolic of what we are as a team whenever we play a game. First half FC, first half, or even just one half, really shit, other half, really good. That's all I have to say about that.
Yeah, fair shout. Okay, so Jack, your thoughts on the tactics, but let's bring in the one and only Irish Hotspur. David, good to see you, brother. Welcome to the show. Pleasure to have you. We were just kind of doing a little bit of a wrap up on the video. I didn't want to spend too much time on it because it's everybody's spoken about it, and maybe it's time to move on. But quickly with you, Jack, the tactical thing, the one issue that I've had, and I spoke about it yesterday on our stream, was that it seems to me that Antonio Conte shouldn't be given a free hit here just because he's who he is. I think he's getting the tactics wrong because he's trying so hard to do the same thing with the same players, knowing that they're shit. I feel like he needs to maybe figure out what's going to be better for them, not trying to play wingbacks that aren't very good wingbacks. But anyway, your thoughts on that idea of is Antonio getting anything wrong here, or does he get a pass because of who he is?
Well, you could look at it a lot of different ways. Like maybe, yes, he's supposed to be able to bend his sort of system, but the system that he's succeeded with, the one that he's won trophies with, is the one that he is trying to do right now. So for us to maybe try to force him to bend his system to one that he hasn't succeeded with would be maybe a bit counterintuitive when you do kind of think about it. And it probably says more about the players, the fact that the players can't be able to adjust to his sort of system in any way whatsoever, because there have been variety of players throughout his career that have made that adjustment to the positions that he wants them to in order to succeed in that system. So my kind of initial thoughts, I see where like everybody's coming from, where maybe he should switch to 4 in the back. Spurs always know 4 in the back better. Maybe he should switch to this system because we're getting overrun in the midfield. You kind of have to think about it in the way that if he feels like that's the system that he has succeeded with his entire career, yes, he can make a few tweaks and everything like that. But if all of a sudden Antonio Conte becomes like a 4-2-3-1 manager, why on earth did we get him in the first place? If we feel like,
I guess my thought on that, Jack, is that it's only for the rest of this season. And I think that's the thing that I would like to see.
With that premise in mind,
recognizing that we are in a scenario right now where he has these players, he recognizes that they're shit, and then they're not going to get to a certain point that he needs them to be at.
Right.
So how do you get through this season knowing that and recognizing like what's the best system that we have for the next 15 games that we have to play in order to get through this season, and then I'll get the players that I need in the summer. And if I don't get it, then I can be like, screw this, I'm out. But you know what I mean? I think that's where I'm at with it. I want to see him recognize that, yeah, I get it. I want to play Conte ball as well. I want the team to adjust to him. But if they're not good enough or capable, and we've got 15 games to play, and you're throwing them all under the bus, how do we get past that? That's the part for me with that interview and with him not making those changes, that we could be screwed for the season. And if that's the case, then that's the case. But that was kind of where I completely agree with his position.
For the rest of the season. If with that bearing in mind, for the rest of the season, I see what you're kind of saying.
Yeah.
What's kind of difficult though is, like, let's be honest, didn't we go 9 games undefeated with that sort of formation? You know, at first as well. So you do kind of have to, like, you know, it's to a degree, it's not even reached 50-50 yet when it comes to winning and losing with that sort of formation. And so maybe I kind of want to jump on the, you know, the bandwagon that, yes, he needs to change things. But at the same time, it's like I kind of look at all the really good displays that we have had under that formation. And I think about how our majority of our strength is in attack for the rest of the season. That's where the most of our depth is. That's where probably our best players are as well. So it probably would make more sense to maybe use that to our strength. And then as well is with the 3-5-2. I love the 3-5-2. I actually would prefer the 3-5-2. Do we have the quality midfielders at this moment in time, or even last week or 2 weeks ago, to be able to play better with the 3-5-2 and like actually score as many goals, actually be just as, you know, lethal going forward? I'm not so sure. I think there have been good examples of when the 3-5-2 have worked, but like if we had done the 3-5-2 against Burnley, I think it would have been even more, you know, dead, even more stale, even more, you know, lifeless.
Doesn't it give us an extra player though that because you recognize this? I think most people would when you're watching us struggle to break teams down, especially when we have more of the ball. That seems to be the problem. Like when we're counterattacking better teams and they have more of the ball, the space is left in behind because they're pressing us really high. Their defense is really high, especially City. You saw that City game. Their defenders, their last defenders, were on the halfway line. So everything in behind them is there. In the Burnley scenario, despite them actually pressing us pretty high, when we had the ball, they dropped deep and they put those 2 banks of 4 there, and we had to try to break down those 2 banks of 4. An extra midfielder gives you another player to do that. And so on the front foot, I would think that maybe that one extra player in the midfield would be good for us, but maybe not. Maybe it just clouds it up. It was just sort of for me trying to think of like, what can we do to break down teams, because that's the struggle, right? Like we don't struggle against teams that have more of the ball and that are better than us. You could say Liverpool and City, 2 of the best games we played in scenarios where we knew we didn't have
better counterattacking team.
We didn't have the ball.
I think there's no way around that.
Yeah. Doesn't he have to make a new adjustment for that situation?
In particular against Burnley, no. Just because Burnley play. It depends, because I think you can't just do it generally. I think it is a bit game by game, because Burnley play 4-4-2, and 4-4-2, you know, like since like the dawn of time has been like one of the best defensive formations there is, because you can really like contract into a really small shape to force people out wide, and that's what Burnley do. And then, you know,
they've got all those giants in the middle too, right?
That forces you to play out wide no matter how many men you put in the middle. It's that effective where you just can't do anything about it. So you have to play out wide. So then the 3-4-3 makes more sense. I agree with your point, but like considering the last few games and whatnot, I'm not going to really just jump on the trigger right away and just say that the 3-5-2 is ultimately what he needs to pursue and play.
Yeah, again, I don't think it's the 3-5-2 necessarily. I just want to see a difference in how
or
we
even
play,
4 in the back.
how we play against those teams that
he switches to a 4 in the back mid game. Like,
he does.
Lots
he did it,
of
well,
times.
that's why
so
when
he is
Sessegnon came
showing
off,
versatility. He is showing versatility.
He is. You're right. It's just I feel like starting a game knowing that this team is going to be really difficult to break down. There should be an approach for that. I want to bring in David. Obviously, has joined us. David, good to see you, buddy. You've been sitting there patiently waiting for me to say hello. How are you, sir?
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks for having me, please.
Always a pleasure, mate. We've got a couple of super chats to get to. Ads, do you want to knock those out real fast?
Yeah, if the person hoovering right outside my bedroom was stopped for a minute, which thankfully they have. 210 absolute legend of the channel, legend of the whole community, says 5 legends on the panel, therapy in session. What a great way to put it, my man. That is
cheers, buddy.
Fantastic comment. Great. Thanks for the donation as well. Appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. And he's put in another one as well, a little further down, I think. This guy
Keeps
here.
on going.
Yeah, cheers again for the support.
Brilliant stuff, man. Right, start hoovering again. Levy in, Levy out. I grew up with Boston Red Sox 86-year cards. Not again, please. 86 years.
Nephew.
We are
That's
surely
Levi in.
Levi
in, Levy out. And Cody Mack. Yes, I do have a nephew called Levi. My sister is a Spurs fan, but I wouldn't say she's as diehard as me. And they've gone the biblical route with Isaac, Noah, Joseph, Levi, and Sophie. So I couldn't really have much impact on the name, but he's adorable, so I let him off.
So in this
he's
case,
named after the
Levi
team, not the chairman.
He's
named after the team.
Levi in, Levi out. I love Levi in, Levy out. I love it. It's good.
It's brilliant.
Irish, I haven't had a chance to talk to you about it. I've seen some of the streams over the last couple of days. The interview, of course, the what he said in that interview. What's your position on it? How did you sort of feel with what he said, and was it good for the team? How do you see the squad responding to it?
I felt like he's been listening to my YouTube channel. I've been saying about different managers saying players,
Yeah,
so
we
for
all
me,
have.
I'm actually happy with it, to be honest with you. Finally, someone has sat there and called out the problems. Now, I know a lot of Spurs fans won't be happy with it, but under Jose Mourinho, you're all going mad because you wanted him to tell her how it is. Under Mason, people call him a club puppet. They were going mad because they wanted him to tell her how it is. Under Pochettino, he told the club line, people were going mad because they wanted him to tell her how it is. Now you've got a manager who's telling you how it is. Don't cry.
Nuno put everybody to sleep.
Yeah, don't cry about it. It's what we wanted. We wanted this guy. We wanted a manager to come in and tell us how it is. So I'm happy with it, first of all. How the players respond, I do not care. We've had Pochettino, Jose Mourinho, and now Conte. If they can get Conte sacked or they can get Conte thrown under the bus, well, then any of them players will not get a top club, in my opinion, because you can't get Pochettino, Jose Mourinho, and Conte all sacked. You just can't do it. It's near impossible. 3 of the best 5 managers in world football. It's absolutely crazy. I actually really don't care how the players react. I've said this under Jose. I've said it under loads of others. When they come out and give their little spiels to the press, I do not care.
So David, just quickly, I don't mean how they react in the press. I mean how they react on the pitch. We got 15 games left in the season, 15 games left in the season. He's got to go to the training ground to, post that interview and then arguably sort of explain himself again. I mean, he probably doesn't have to explain himself, but what are the players going to do in that situation? How do they react to that? Like from a game perspective, are they convinced by him? He doesn't seem like he believes. Does that mean they won't believe, or does that mean, well, let's show him that we believe? I'm curious. I want to know, like, do these players have the fucking cojones to actually respond the way you'd expect professionals to respond in the situation?
Oh, well, I mean, if we're judging them by the past, they probably won't respond, to be honest with you. They'd probably end up losing games, crying, and then go to the media and blame the tactics, blame everything as, he wouldn't tuck me in a bed at night, read me Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, and all that sort of stuff, really, really does grind my gears. But look, if I'm one of them players, I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, I'm going to show you. But we don't have that mentality in the squad, because if we did, we wouldn't be sitting here crying about a trophy right now.
Yeah, it's true.
These players, a bunch of these players are always looking for the easy way out. They're always looking for that excuse. Now, Conte has offered it up to them on the play. But as a fan, I do not care. Even if they take that, I'm still having a go at the players. I've been doing it since I got here. Some of the performance isn't good enough. And the reason why I do it is because we've had, I don't know how many different man management styles, how many different tactics they've over the course of the last couple of years that have been put into this team, where it's back 4, back 5, back 3. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, what style of philosophy the manager wants them to play. They end up just crumbling anyway. They end up not doing the right thing anyway. if I was a player, I would be responding to it because I think Kane, Son, Hugo Lloris, the usuals, they will respond.
Yeah.
But then it's all the others in between with their weak mentalities. I don't think they'll respond. But at the end of the day, if they can't handle the pressures and they can't handle quotes off a manager, can't handle being in the press, this, that, and the other, then what you're doing at top level football, because it's what it's all about nowadays.
Yeah, it's a fair point. I'm for the most part in these positions I'm taking, I'm trying to be a bit of a devil's advocate to ask certain questions.
You're doing a good job.
Trying to understand like why why this is happening again. This is a scenario where we all kind of knew this was gonna happen. We all knew we were gonna lose to Burnley because it's so Spursy. It's what we do. We beat the champions and we lose. We were sort of talking about tactics there as to what it is that why do we struggle against these teams that sit deep, and is there a solution with the players that we have for the rest of the season? We basically are going to play these types of teams for the rest of the season. I think we have 3 games against 3 top teams. I think we have Liverpool left, United left, and
the Filth.
The Filth left, of course. So those 3 games, and the Filth, I watched them play yesterday against Wolves. They were very good. It's going to be a really difficult game. So those 3 games, though, are probably the games that will play our best football. It's the rest of them I'm worried about if we're going to get any results. The thoughts on that as well. We're just talking to Jack about that from you, David. What are your thoughts on do we 6th, 7th place? Is that what we're looking at here from a finish with what we have left?
No, look, it's now. I'm one of these guys that I never write us off until the match.
I know. I just kind of want to chuck it at you, right? Because you're so positive, and then we just have that result, and it's like, I don't know, there, David.
No, look, I never write us off from top 4 when until it's mathematically impossible.
Yeah.
I still believe. I know I'm stupid, but I still believe. But look, when it comes to tactics, I mean, this is probably where a lot of Conte's quotes came from the other day as well, because recently people have been looking at Conte, questioning his tactics, question this, question that. We played it 4 at the back last season. How many people were calling for a 5 at the back? Now all of a sudden we're getting a 5 at the back. People are now calling for a 4 at the back. We don't have the defenders to play a 4 at the back. That's why Conte is putting an extra centre back in there to make up for people's flaws. The reason why we're playing wing backs is because if we were playing them as full backs in a 4, they'd get exposed so much more. So that's why we're playing wing backs. As for the 2 in midfield, it works with Bentancur and Højbjerg. It just doesn't work when Harry Winks has come in. Harry Winks has played Southampton, he's played Wolves, and he's played Burnley. Guess what? We've lost all 3. And we only lost the Burnley game when he came on the field. But we've played Man City.
God, he's bad.
I didn't touch a minute on the pitch. Didn't even get to touch the pitch. Didn't even get a blade of grass to put in his pocket for momentum. You know what I mean? And we win the game. So look, for me, it's more down to, I wouldn't say tactics. What I would say is as soon as we have to take one of our first 11 out, when certain guys come in, the drop-off in quality is just way too costly. Now, people can say Winks didn't lose us to Burnley game. I would agree with that to a certain extent. It was Romero not picking up from set plays. But when Winks came on, we lost control of the ball. It was an open game, end to end. And once you let a game go like that, the team that's hanging in like Burnley, they're always going to gain momentum off it. They thrive off stuff like that.
Yeah, it's true.
I don't think it's down to tactics. I just think it's down to individuals. You look at the game as well. How many times could a Session got the ball out of his feet and crossed them? Like Jack was saying there, Burnley like to sit back and keep it compact. They'll give you the ball out wide. Okay, so you're looking at your players out wide. Get the ball out your feet, put them in the box, and give the striker something to go and attack. And we didn't want to do it. What we've seen is Session pass it inside to the middle. Then it's being passed from Højbjerg across.
It just was,
across. You know what I mean? And no one wants to take that responsibility. No one wants to grab their bollocks.
It was so frustrating watching that when the amount of chances, we spoke about this yesterday, the amount of chances on the flanks that both of the wingbacks had to cross the ball in, and they decided not to. It was like, what are you doing?
To Winks too much, I think.
It's shocking.
Yeah, it was very strange. It was very strange.
You know the other thing you got to be concerned about, and it's getting more and more a reality now. If St Tottenham's Day comes back, after the back where they were the biggest spenders in Europe, there's going to be more action. There's going to be more annoyance and frustration from the fans that Arteta was backed, and Nuno, whether he was the right move, which he obviously wasn't backed how he would have wanted. I don't think he would have gone for Hill. I think there are other players, and then obviously Conte in January, and then coming on the back of that could be, does Conte go? If Conte goes, does Kane go, or is it the other way around? Then you got Heung-min Son So everyone's saying this big summer's coming up where we're really gonna push the boat out and we're really gonna have this big summer. But it could be a catastrophe if St Tottenham's Day happens, and if one of those two scenarios play out.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think St. Tottenham Day is going to happen. I don't think we're finishing above Arsenal at this point. I just don't. Sad to say, and I know that David's positive and thinks we can still finish top four, and I agree that the obviously statistically speaking from the numbers we can, but are we going to, based on the form? If we're being realistic about it, we've lost 4 out of the last 5 games. We don't look consistent at all. We can only play, like I said a few minutes ago, well against teams that drive us, and it doesn't look like we're going to have our best 11. Like we just watched Bentancur get injured, likely out for 3 weeks. Jack, did you see that? Do we have any updates on that? What are the thoughts on Bentancur? That means Winks starts right until he's back. What we don't
starts means Harvey White. Probably maybe he has even more of a chance. Perhaps coming into it, he has been training practically entirely with the first team, not even with the under 23s. Has been training entirely with the first team. He has maybe a contention, and we're gonna everybody. We're gonna have to probably continue to see more of a 2-man midfield or some version of it of some kind, and just pray, hopefully the couch has enough space behind it, everybody, especially with Winks, playing alongside anybody in a 2-man midfield. What I must say, though, is what I was happy to see was I thought Højbjerg last game, played well alongside Bentancur. And then when Winks came in, sometimes we see either one of them play terribly and the other one play like worse than you could even imagine a footballer does. And I actually thought Højbjerg kind of held his own, actually, once Winks came on, despite Winks, still playing atrociously. So that's going to keep my only hope is that Højbjerg maybe just keeps a good patch of form after that Man City display.
Yeah, well, I think as well. Like we said, we're one injury away in every position from a huge blip. From a huge blip, and it's just so happened to happen straight after the window, or not straight after, a month in from it. But it's happening to key players again, and like David said with Winks, it looks like he is going to start, and those stats that David gave don't lie. And Leeds will. I'm sure we'll be talking about Leeds shortly, but Leeds they are full throttle. They are full throttle, passion and everything, and we've just got to hope that we can deal with it.
We saw teams that never press against Winks. We saw Wolves, who were the second worst or second least pressing team in the entire league, all of a sudden come out of the gates at our stadium.
It's so obvious, isn't it, Jack? It's so obvious that for other teams, for any team that comes up against Spurs,
well, they don't do it when it's Højbjerg and Bentancur.
They tried to, but we were able to play around the press. Yeah. But Winks doesn't know how to do it. Winks that can't pass the ball around the press, whereas Bentancur was able to, and the players around him look more confident when he's on the ball because he can spin quickly and push the ball forward in between the lines. Winks just drops deeper. Winks drops deeper and ends up playing a center back, basically, and trying to distribute from there, and his passing isn't good enough and he gives the ball away. It's a really hard watch, and I struggle to think that if he's in the team, there's no chance of top four. And if
they're also very quick, like those Leeds players, it's not like, they will bully him off the ball because everybody does in the Premier League, but they're also quite quick and agile. So that's what I think worries me even more. It's not just going to be some bumbling player, like kind of, maybe that, the ref will give him sympathy. It's going to be like whatever his name is, the whatever James or whatever his name is. And, like Jack Harrison and players like that will, just be like tormenting him, which worries me because that means the ref won't probably give him anything either. Yeah. And Rafinha we got to deal with as well. The thing about Leeds at the moment, Leeds have not, like I think you mentioned, one of you guys mentioned earlier, Leeds. Well, we may as well get on to Leeds because we talked about the interview enough. I don't think we need to dwell on that. Leeds have not been good lately. I mean, I get it. They are full throttle. They do press. They are running around a lot, but they've shipped 10 goals in the last 2 games. That's they are going to be open. That's good for us. David, do you think that, is that good for us? Do you think Spurs are going to be able to utilize that situation and get in behind because they're going to be so open?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It'll suit us. It'll only suit us if we start running off the ball. Problem is against Burnley. We didn't have anyone that wanted to run off the ball. Everyone was coming looking for the ball to feet, taking the easy option against Leeds in order to take advantage of all that space in the open they're going to give you. You have to have players running. Now, again, you can have all the players you want. Harry Winks will look at, Son's running, Kane's running. Oh, and Kulu. But I'm going to pass it 5 ways.
Sideways.
You know what I mean?
All the time.
Yeah.
It really doesn't matter. As long as this guy is in the team, we're not winning as many football matches whatsoever. When Winks is in there, forget about it. We can talk about as much as we want about this Leeds game. If Harry Winks starts, we've seen it since the very start of the season. Pacos de Ferreira pressing Harry Winks. And every other team knows exactly what to do when this guy starts. And that Leeds midfield are just going to pummel him every single time. And it's going to turn into a lot more of a tricky game than what it ever should be.
Yeah, for sure. Ads, we got some super chats to get to here before we. All right, let's knock through those. Sorry for thanks for your patience on those. We'll knock through them.
Yeah,
go ahead.
So this is Two Sets Free third one, hat trick, man, and thank you so much. Like,
cheers,
don't waste
brother.
all your money on us, man. And like, there are bigger priorities in your life, so there must be other than us. Like, but thanks anyway. I mean, we're very grateful for it. So he says we're going to win a trophy by 2024. Mark my words. That I mean, within the state we're in now, like, I would love it if it was that early, to be honest. And with the way things look at the moment, it's more looking like 2034. But look, I'm trying not to be too pessimistic today.
I don't think you are trying. I don't think you're trying that hard there, buddy.
2044. Let's just do it up a level. And of course, the fourth one, again, I have to clap at now at this point.
Nate,
honestly.
Cheers, buddy. Appreciate
the support he gives us. Well, he also says now that Conte loses to Moura Uber drivers, Chelsea 3 times in 3 weeks, Southampton, Wolves, Burnley. He deserves some blame. He's been rusty coming in mid-season.
Yeah, I want to talk about this if you guys don't mind, and everybody else can sort of have their thoughts on it. This is something that I stated on our stream yesterday. I don't think he can't get away with this. I mean, he has lost 4 out of the last 5 as a manager. I get it that a lot of it is the squad problem, but he knows all of these things. He knew these things coming in. He is making some errors. But don't get me wrong, I still think he should be our manager. I'm not in any way suggesting that that's the case. I don't think he's making all the decisions are necessarily great. I'd love to get you guys all you guys' thoughts on this. David, you look like you're dying to chat about it. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, Brian, and this isn't a dig at you, but I'm sick of Spurs fans constantly talking about managers here. We always talk about the manager. We have to understand, no matter what manager comes in to take this squad, there's always going to be mistakes, and they're never, ever going to get it right because you don't know what you're going to get out of certain individuals when you pick them. Now, that's not on the manager, in my opinion. That's on the player because he has no option but to pick some of these players because the starting 11 is strong, but outside of that, you have nobody to come off the bench to affect the game, so he can't really make substitutions. Yep. But then even if you get injuries and you start these players, you're going to get the same crap. What is he supposed to do?
I agree with that, David. I think my only issue is he knew that coming into the situation, and he knew that going into the transfer window. He had every opportunity during the transfer window to say the things he said in this interview. He's said it after the window when you can't do anything about it. You can't do anything until the summer. So for me, I don't get that part of it. I agree with him across the board with the state of the squad and that we need to do all those things. I don't necessarily agree that this is an appropriate way to get the best out of your team in the middle of a season when you can't change anything. He knows this. He knows if a player gets injured, he's going to have to deal with Winks. He knows that what he has to make. He has to make a decision on that, and I think that that's where maybe he's getting it slightly wrong. Slightly wrong doesn't mean that I don't. Look, you understand what I mean. I hope you understand.
Yeah. I get what you're saying, but we've been down this route before, where things were going well. We got a manager bounce. All of a sudden, things start going bad. We're looking at the tactics. It's the same tactics that won us the first line games.
Yeah. I'm not looking at the tactics. I'm looking at his response.
Like in general, in general, people keep going.
I get you.
We should look at the manager. We should look at the manager. But we've made that same mistake time and time again when things don't go well.
Yep.
I've been consistent all along. Talk about the players. Let's talk about certain individuals that are not good enough to be here. It doesn't matter. No matter what manager you bring in, you're going to keep seeing the same things, and we have done for the last 2 years. When are we going to wake up to the fact that it's certain individuals that when they come in, it's not the managers. Like I said, we've had so many different ways of man management, so many different tactics that have been used, different ways of playing this, that, and the other. And every manager gets a reaction when they first come in, and then all of a sudden it drops off, and people start questioning the tactics, they start questioning man management, they start questioning them coming out in the media. 100%, I get it. Question them all you want. But then what are we going to do? Sack Conte or Conte walks, and we're going to go down the same cycle with the next manager.
Yeah, I don't think we change it, Dave. I don't think we change what we're doing. I just think he still can deserve a little bit of criticism in how he's dealt with it. He's not wrong. He's completely right. It's just, dude, you could have instead of reacting emotionally right after a game, hold that for a bit, go talk to the club, come out in the press and say what he said, but say it in a bit more.
But Brian, it's that Conte's fault. We knew exactly what we were hiring.
No, it's not. Again, I'm not saying it's his fault.
Do that.
But he's the manager, and he is supposed to be getting the best out of the squad. And I get
what you're saying, but we're talking about getting the best out of the squad. We're talking about a guy that's took the Italian national job. We're talking about the guy that at Juve. We're talking about the guy that's won at Juve, and or at Inter. And we're now asking him to get the best out of Harry Winks and Davinson Sanchez and stuff like that. Let's be real here.
Yeah, honestly, he did know that, Dave. He knew coming into Spurs what he was dealing with. He had to. And so
100%. But we are on the flip side. We already knew what we were taking on. We knew.
Oh, I agree.
He was going to come out in the press conference.
Yeah. I'm happy he said what he said in public. I think it's great. I think there's the emotional response immediately after a game was the one part of it I have a problem with. Brian, you've been holding your hand up for too long. Dave and I go that.
I'm sorry, no, he'll need a flipping cast or something.
I've been meaning to say this for a while now, especially when people are saying Conte should have done this in January and not till the end of the window. Well, when we started protesting, people were like, oh, no, give Conte and Levy, give Levy a chance, and protest in February if nothing's done. Well, no, that's why we protested, to try and get things done. So you can't have it that one person says Conte should do this before, and then we're being told to do it after. This is the breakdown in communication this club has, whether it be the supporters, whether it be the owner, whether it be the manager. Because we're in such a mess, no one knows what to say and when to say it. There isn't a right time. As David said, this just keeps continuing and continuing and continuing and continuing. And there's no other... Listen, we're in a mess. We all know why. It's now just dealing with this till the summer. Nothing can be done. I mean, like I said, but
that is my point, Brian. Nothing can be done. He has to manage what he has. And
what I've been saying as well, he's doing this now because if we can announce our pre-season tour 5 months early, so we prepare for that, get ready for that. Well, I'll tell you what. How about you start preparing for transfers now? So when the first week of the summer opens, you're ready, and you don't book a trip to the Bahamas 9 days into a transfer.
Again, Brian, I agree with everything he said.
I know you do. I'm saying this is the mess that we find our club in. Yeah. And like I said, everyone wants successful Tottenham, no matter where you are. But the fundamentals of what's going on at that club is so mixed match. It's beyond a joke.
Yeah, for sure. We could talk about this for a long time, and we did sort of the Conte bit, and we're trying to get back to the game.
I think we should get to some other super chats here, though.
Yeah, let's finish the super chats, their ads, and then we'll get to some tactical stuff. I want to talk to Jack about what he expects from Leeds.
That's always a good topic to talk about. Also, Alan Harris, Brian Daigle, like, I look at this value. This one's for you, man. He said this is for Brian to have his 3-2 bet.
Yes, so thank you, Alan. But unfortunately, now we're not going to the game. And the reason we're not going to the game is Ben and Simeon have family over from Israel and America that fly home on Monday. And they've decided that they'd rather spend time with their family than driving all the way up to Leeds, watching the game and driving back, which is fair play to them. Like I said, I only go when I'm with them. So no, thank you. I'd rather watch it at home with or watch it with friends rather than not be with that. Not that I don't want to go see the lads, but as in Tottenham, and support them, but without Ben and Sim, nah. So I'm still going to put the bet on. I just don't know if it will come off because I won't be there.
Just try it anyway. Okay.
Yeah.
Also, Kuvo with the £5. Big up, man. Thank you very much. Harris Army legend, fan legend, to be honest. He says, about to get 2 cats, and I'm torn on the names. Again, Levy out or Paratici and Conte.
Hashtag.
But the kids aren't keen. Option 1 or 2, or get rid of the kids.
I go get rid of the kids. That's the easiest.
I have a controversial one.
What if Levy out ends up being the most behaved one, though? That would be annoying.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
That would be ironic.
Yeah.
I think we got one last. No, we don't actually. We have a couple more to go here. Yet again from the truth that's free.
Jeez,
man,
fantastic.
Appreciate unbelievable. I mean, I said not to waste your money on us, but if you want to, I mean, that's your choice, man. It's a free world. Well, in theory, it is. He says Nuno took a lot of keep the same players. That's hypocritical.
Yeah, I get what he's saying here, but at the same time, is it hypocritical? I think we still had the same thought that the manager isn't at fault; it's the players. But Nuno was doing some pretty dodgy shit. Like, I don't think you could say the same about Conte. I think Conte's tried to do technically the right things, but they haven't come off. Whereas
Nuno was out of his depth.
Yeah, Nuno just looked completely out of his depth. But I get the point that he's making there.
Yeah, and our final one is from a fellow who's quickly becoming a channel legend. Legend this channel, Corsi, Tottenham Fan UK. Thanks a lot, man. And big up, and we hope to have you on one of our shows ASAP. Once again, he said the squad is stale. Squad is stale. Ran its course. Nothing will change, unless but like with our current ownership. Will we get the quality players in so the squad can stop being stale? But here's the thing: we bought in Bentancur and Kulusevski to kind of stop that staleness, and they've shown promise so far, especially on Bentancur's end. But is it enough? Is what I want to ask. Like, I think it's the question we should all be asking. Really, are those two enough?
I think if they stay fit, Adam, then it's enough. But that's the biggest issue. We've already lost one of them. That as soon as you lose one of them, the staleness comes back, right? You have to play a player in the position that we know what he just said is stale. But yeah, you guys, anything to add to that?
No. I mean, I just want to say thank you for both. I saw him a lot, Jack. He was giving a lot of super chats when we were doing the fan show, weren't we?
The bottom dude,
The bottom dude is an absolute legend.
Thanks, man.
Where's the bottom dude from? I don't recognize the.
I think it's
India.
India.
India. Oh, nice. Cheers to
200 rupees.
Yeah.
Appreciate.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Did you want to read that out, Ed?
Of course. Conte said maybe he wasn't the right person, and he'd assess the situation with the club. At least he didn't say, I am still the right person. It's a process. Don't worry, we lost. Yeah, it's something like what Mikel Arteta in his worst period at Arsenal was coming out and saying. And it was, even as a rival fan, it was both hilarious but kind of frustrating at the same time, just from the arrogance out of him. And he finally says, respect him for that. Yeah, definitely respect him for the honesty. Right. But as Brian Ireland said earlier, maybe he could have worded like the first bit of that.
It's just the first few sentences. Better. Yeah, he's like
the last bit was great. I thought
exactly.
That was near perfect. But the first bit kind of dodgy. But I mean, you could have said something a lot worse, like in my opinion, at least. Yeah,
for sure. Thanks for the support, to bottom. Appreciate the the super chat's fantastic. I want to get back to the Leeds game because we're going to try to preview that a little bit. Jack, from a tactical perspective, what do we expect to see from Leeds, and then how do Spurs respond? Like, what do you think is best case scenario?
Well, the best case scenario is that despite how much, Leeds kind of huff and puff and press, maybe we'll just have the quality that day and, maybe the available players that we can just pass right through it. Kind of similar to how the Man City, game kind of went about, where we seem to have a lot of options available to us. And when you do have Romero and Eric Dyer as your kind of two center backs in the back, who will probably have lots of the ball, considering how much Winks will pass backwards to them, they will have lots of the balls, so they will be able to switch play lots of times. I think even Eric Dyer or Romero, I forget which one, had like 3 switches of play against Man City, which kind of showed how easy it was for them to kind of be able to just get out of pressure, and kind of made that like sort of Man City press not look as daunting or as scary as it might often look kind of on camera. And perhaps Leeds's press is just maybe a more amateur. I mean, that's really harsh to Marcelo Bielsa, but maybe just a worse version of, that sort of Man City press. It's a bit more all out. In fact,
less quality in it, right?
Less quality in it. They perhaps expose themselves even more, you could say, in certain moments. Then again, though, because of the pace and kind of the electricity, I would say, of that sort of front three, they're all really dynamic sort of kind of players, like Rodrigo. Is it Dan James? I keep forgetting. Yeah, the former
Dan James. Yeah.
The former
he's got some
Manchester
pace on
United
him too.
Guy. Yeah, he's got a lot of pace. Rafinha is ridiculous.
9 goals, 2 assists so far this season. Rafinha from a right
baller.
wing.
He's an absolute baller. Jack Harrison's been great. Yet again this season. I feel like you kind of think about it. That team, if they do win the ball back in those areas, they're quite ruthless actually, because they do have really good kind of, dynamism and just can beat a man really easily. And they all have a decent finish. I must say, I've seen Jack Harrison bend a few into the top net. He even scored a hat trick recently. I've seen, of course, Rafinha have some ridiculous goals. Dan James is the only one I would say I'm not so worried about finishing. But I don't know. I think best case scenario, Romero and Dyer just, calm everything down, make everything really easy in possession for us. And then, maybe Winks just doesn't have to maybe just play the passes that he doesn't want to, aka anything going forward. So to be fair, I feel like it could be an easy route. I am just a bit worried though, because sometimes Marcelo Bielsa, the way he emerges out of that tunnel and that almost like kind of monastery, kind of look, the way he is, he's like a Zen Buddhist when it comes to tactics and everything. He just seems to not, have any sort of inkling of like human, kind of like basic social interactions and things. So sometimes I think Marcelo Bielsa is a bit intimidating. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, for sure.
I do love his stool, though. I do love his stool because when he is, sitting in the stool in the right position, it is quite intimidating.
He's got his hands on his chins. Yeah, he's always looking pretty
in that catcher stance as well. That's always
exactly. I don't know how he does that for an entire match. It's not a comfortable position to sit in. I guess he's been doing it his entire life. He's used to it. The body's adjusted. Bro, I want to ask you. Romero did not have a good game last game. Gave the ball away quite a bit. Obviously, the goal they scored was. It's hard to blame him specifically. I think you could blame him as much as you could blame Lloris for not coming out. Do you think there's a sense from some of these players who come into this league think, Burnley 18th place, right? They're an 18th place team. They had won 3 games the entire season. Complacency comes in thinking, oh, we're going to, I played in Italy. The 18th place team in Italy isn't easy. It's a, it's a walk in the park. It's a simple game and didn't realize that they were going to be as under the cosh as they were against a Burnley side who are fighting for relegation.
Well, it's not just him. If you look at it, it's what the players did last year in Zagreb. It's what the players did this season in Portugal.
Team mentality.
It's literally where they think they're entitled because we're Tottenham Hotspur and that these teams are weaker than us. With no disrespect, they just are, and they think we play for Tottenham Hotspur. We played for our cup. This is going to be an easy thing, and obviously going to Burnley, who had just been hit in form. It was going to be a hard job on a wet, windy night. It's like someone said. I heard someone else say Burnley's become like the new Stoke.
It's the new Stoke, yeah.
It's the last place you want to go to, like on a midweek evening, especially for the fans that have so far to travel. And this is what the players do. I mean, a very, very good supporter of the channel, Terry Wright, even says this is what it's come down to. Do we think we need to give Rodon and to give David? It's come to the point now where Davis, we need to, like I keep saying with Son and Kane, they get overplayed and undervalued. Because literally we just don't realise that they're humans and they need rest. They can't just be on their A game the whole time. And we need squad rotation and game management in certain positions. And you can't have just the one left-footed centre-back, as good as he's been with a couple of bad games. You can't just say, right, play again. Physically, it's impossible. The demands on them. Yes, they get paid a lot of money, and yes, they're very well trained athletes. But you need to give players a rest if you want to get the best out of them. You need to give people like Poch did with Trippier and Walker and Rose and Davies to keep players fit, to keep players fresh.
He doesn't trust him though. That's the issue, right? Or it seemingly doesn't. Like he doesn't trust. I mean, Rodon is an example of a player that has never been trusted at Spurs under multiple managers. Because of rotation, do you drop him in there and all of a sudden trust him? It's a tough one. I don't know why, but it seems like that no managers wanted him.
I don't think against Leeds, I think you have to play Davies because it's such an intimidating place. That place is so hostile to go to. Mm-hmm. And they are going to be right on it. Middlesbrough, maybe. He's got to get some game time. You got to remember, before Jose got sacked, and I mean right before Jose got sacked, he was our best defender at that time. Central defender. He played we had a thing last season. I don't know if other people picked up on it. We had a good defensive 2 for like 4 games, and then for no reason whatsoever, one of them just went out, and you didn't see him for 6 weeks, and then it kept happening. And when that happened with the build up to Jose sacking, Rodon got four games in where he was our best defender, hands down, centrally, and then he just went into the abyss. So who knows where his career would have gone with Jose if it had carried on. But it's coming to the point now where we might need to rotate. We need to rotate. If we want to try and salvage anything, we can't expect these 11 first teamers to just play every single minute of every single game.
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised he didn't rotate in the last game. I said it in a couple of streams. I thought we might see the wingbacks rotated at the very least. I know Reguilon couldn't come in and rotate, so it was probably Cess was going to play 2 in a row. But I thought we'd see Doherty against Burnley. I don't think it would have mattered at this point. I mean, I don't think that was the reason we lost that game. We have another super chat here from Sean Butler. What's up, Sean? Thanks for the super chat.
What's up, buddy?
Hi, lads. Genuine question is: so be gentle. We'll try to be gentle, but I can't guarantee it. What is the role of managers that gets paid $14 million a year? Love the show and love you all. I'm guessing what he's meaning is shouldn't he be doing better for that amount? I'm guessing that's what he means. I'll start with you on this, David, because strong opinion.
I can play more gentle than Dave if you want.
No, I wanted to start without the gentle. He can finish gentle. It's a nice.
No, look,
David, your response to this?
Look, Sean knows my feelings on it. Look, we can sit here and keep questioning the manager all we want. We paid Nuno a lot less. What did he get out of the team? It doesn't matter. Look, what I would say to Sean is forget about what the manager is being paid and look at what he's being asked to do. Look, he's never going to warrant 14 million a year until you put the right pieces into the puzzle for him it to work. But at the same time, the club went and got him to be able to build Tottenham up, to be able to go forward. So they think he's justified 14 million. What he's done at previous clubs is probably just a 14 million as well. Now, just because we can't offer him what previous clubs has done, that's not on him. That's on the club. They paid him 14 million.
Yeah, good show, Jack. Do you want to answer more softly? Or
I think Dave made a lot of really good points there. Maybe just a few I can add is the fact that I think we're maybe ignoring the fact that maybe Spurs are also possibly shoving a few extra million down his mouth here, maybe so that he can actually take the job in the first place. Let's be honest. It's certainly not a job that jumps off the page or anything, for most managers. I'll tell you that. So to say that maybe there aren't a few extra million tossed in there, Sean, maybe just to get him a bit more enticed, I think you definitely have to take that into account. And then the only other thing I can add is I know this sounds a bit petty, Sean, so maybe I'm the one being less gentle, but what's the role of a 5'5" holding playmaker that only plays backwards passes and is being paid $100,000 a week? What's the role of that guy?
I know the role is. The role is
both dramatically overpaid. Dramatically overpaid for offering nothing, I guess, in your eyes. So, I guess I was the one that was being a little bit less gentle, funny enough.
Yeah, no, that's a good show. Brian, thoughts on this super chat?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I'm just going to bring up the comment of the day, which is Cody Mack, once again, who is on top form, as always.
What's up, Cody?
Which is right. This is the thing. People have got to stop saying he's on 14 million a year. The people go to Messi, when Messi or anyone gets a contract, and they go, yeah, we'll pay you 14 million a year. So they go, no, pay me half of that. No, you're going to be like, yes, I'm going to take this goddamn job.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
You're going to be like, I'm taking this job. Whether it's just because he gets paid that amount, he comes with a reputation and he's heavily wanted. And if you get him, kind of like with players, you pay the market value for that manager. You pay the market value.
We bought a world-class we bought a world-class French pastry chef, and we're asking him to make vegan vegan tarts.
And then it comes back to, and I love Sean's question. I love Sean, but it comes down to, like David said, everyone sets up everyone to succeed. We all have our YouTube channels, and we all help each other because we want to help each other succeed. We all come out with new content because we want to keep people and grow because we want to succeed. We invest our time into doing this because that's what we have to give at the moment. That's what we have to do as having a YouTube platform and having a YouTube channel. We have to invest a lot of time if we want to grow and make things. And that's not just coming on stream. That's social media. That's going on other channels. That's whatever you do to grow your channel is what you do and that's what any company hires people. You give them the tools to succeed, to make the most out of this massive company or this massive club that Tottenham Hotspur is. You don't just go, oh, well, here you go, you're the manager, off you go. If anyone's seen that movie, Mike Bassett, England manager, when he said, if you need me, just put that letter under the door. That's not what it is.
Yeah.
We've got to stop as fans. When you say we signed Ndombele for 60 million, yes, we hear big money. But then you go, oh, he's on 200 grand a week. What's he done to earn that 200 grand a week? Nothing. What has Conte done to earn 14 million a year? Won titles everywhere he's gone. won domestic cups wherever he's gone, been a national manager. He warrants that CV. He warrants that salary.
You can't argue with that.
We're paying him what he's worth, Brian, based on what he's done at previous clubs. But then once we pay him for what he's done at previous clubs, it's up to us to give him what previous clubs have given if you want that success. And that's why you're paying him. Now, as well, Sean, he asked what is the role of a manager? And 100%, I get it. Look, we should always be questioning what we're paying out and are we getting what we deserve back. 100%, I get it. But the role of a manager, and Sean, I get it. But we asked the same under Pochettino come when he had to rely on certain players. We asked the same under Jose Mourinho. We asked the same about Mason, and now we're asking the same about Conte. That's 4 managers. Well, and for me, we can keep asking the question of the managers, but you also have to ask what is setting these managers up for failure.
Isn't 14 million also getting us? Let's take ourselves back to when Conte just got here. 14 million got us 9 games undefeated. It got us most distance covered in the entire Premier League. It got us some of the best. It got us instant change and some of the best stats of a team that we thought was absolutely hopeless and absolute dross and was not even going to get even close. Some people were saying mid-table, and then all of a sudden he made the team look like a top 4 team. Now the team doesn't look like a top 4 team, and then that's his fault. I think that's a bit crazy because I think if we're actually being realistic, before Conte was hired, we were looking at that team and we were saying majority of these players don't even make most Premier League teams, don't even make most Premier League squads. This team is mid-table garbage. This team is like an Everton. And then once Conte came in, he made it look like this team was capable of top 4. And now we're going to slam him for it once he starts, kind of letting it slip. That's kind of my belief. I see Sean's point that the role of the manager is to get results with the squad. But he did get results with the squad in the first 9 games. And now he's going through a little bit of a rough patch and a little bit of a hurdle. And if we're going to be blind to maybe what's causing that, rough patch, the ingredients that are causing that rough patch, if we're going to be blind to that, then,
Yeah, I think I agree with all of that. I think my only issue is that how he's responding to it.
Fair play. And I think, like I said, then that's the human element that's coming
and
out of him,
and he has every right to be frustrated.
Yeah.
Like we're frustrated, like seeing him frustrated. We're like, yeah. That's exactly how we feel, man. So you get it. But at the same time, I feel like from a professional perspective, he probably could do a little bit more to refrain from being as emotionally as he is, but I would not want to change that from a management perspective because it's what makes him so good at what he does, and I love him for that. So yeah, it's one of those things. I get the idea. You pay him, he should get the results. You should say the same about the players though, and I think that's the key here. The players also get paid a lot of money, and they're not doing their jobs. You can't just blame the one guy. It's got to go across the board. The players also deserve that blame and should be questioned as well. Well, you get paid $200,000 a week. Why aren't you doing what you're supposed to do for that amount of money? It's an obvious question to ask. And with the state of this club that we're currently in, it's an easy answer. And he said it in that interview. The things that haven't changed are the players. The manager keeps changing, and the thing that stays the same is the players, and that's clearly the issue. I'm going to bring up another super chat from Sean here. Sean says, this narrative about Tottenham have their method of young players, and it's not mine. Why wasn't this discussed before he signed 4 months ago? Brian?
Well, look, first of all, what can I say? You look at this as a whole, and as I said, when we sat Jose and we're looking for a manager, we all know that Tottenham's business method or process under this leadership is buy young, develop or try to develop them, sell for a huge profit. Levy said, play open, attractive, attacking, free-flowing football. Now, if you're to think of a manager that sums that up, it's Erik ten Hag. It is Erik ten Hag to the letter. But apparently he didn't do well in interview, as we're led to believe. For me, I believe that managers' interview should be on the pitch. Because you didn't like what he said, that's where you get judged on. That's where football managers get judged on. So that we didn't do. Then you look at that business method again, and you look at directors of football. That sums up Luis Campos to a letter. But we go 2 opposite ways. We keep trying all these. Listen, We couldn't send Harvey Wyatt out on loan to develop because we sold too many players and couldn't get players in. Conte wouldn't have been told that at the beginning because it wasn't known. We are blocking the youth coming through. Look at Dane Scarlett. Dane Scarlett's not going to play. Send him out on loan where he's going to get some experience, play real football. It'll be in a lower league where it's a lot more rougher, a lot more the fitness regime, because obviously they play a lot more games, would have gone away and got his experience rather than just sitting on the bench and training. But we don't do that. We don't do that. That's why I keep saying we have a breakdown within the whole faction of this football club because the left arm doesn't know what the right arm's doing. So if Conte was told about this and it was bringing you through and he was told 4 months ago, the way to do it, if these youth players aren't going to get the games at Tottenham, is send them out on loan, but making sure you've got cover in. It wasn't done. It was not done. And that's what I said. Like I said, I will always go for Levy. Always. Every morning I wake up, it's like, let's go for Levy. But it's not just, he is the very, very top of the pyramid that has allowed this club to rot. But it is a problem within every single facet and every single department of this football club.
Yeah, for sure. Jack, anything to add to this super chat?
It's tough because I want ready-made players. But you know, if Levy feels like this is the thing, if he doesn't see, you know, transfers, he sees transfers as a heavy loss business, which it is actually. Transfers are like a heavy, you know, like you take significant losses on transfers, but he wants to be the one club owner that doesn't do that. It, you know, doesn't take as many losses. So that means you buy younger players because if they end up, you know, hitting the ground running right away, you know, you triple in value like anything. You know, it feels like, you know, when you buy ready-made players, tried players, it's like buying, you know, a brand new car. It kind of just depreciates, you know, the moment, you know, it steps on the pitch, you know, to a degree. Whereas a younger player only, you know, increases in value the better they look and the more they play. So for Levy, he's just looking at that option as much better than the other. This being said, I can't explain why they would then sign Conte and expect him to work with younger players. I think it's just them just like reaping the mistakes or whatever it is that, you know, they did over the last, you know, summer window. I'm not even sure what's going on. I think they're all just like eating their words, eating their mistakes, and that's what's going on. Sean,
nobody knows, Jack. It's a fucking
I don't
mess.
think there's a logical. I don't think there's a logical situation happening where they, you know, I think they're very much just eating their mistakes and eating their words, and they're hopefully just bending over for the Don Conte.
I've just questioned, like, curious, like, what did that conversation look like? You know, what did, you know, them sitting in the room and then it laying out the expectations of what the manager was going to do and what the club was going to do to support him, and whether they're remotely close in their evaluation of what needed to happen and how it was going to happen.
It's probably a conversation with, you know, very few espressos because Hitchin is gone, so that's a bit disappointing.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Sean. Appreciate the comments, obviously, and appreciate the support, brother. And Adam, you wanted to bring up
Max? There's a good question here from thanks, Brian, from Mac. If I'm pronouncing that right, if I'm not, then sorry, man. He said, question to the panel: when was the last time our team played with vicious intensity throughout the pitch by all our players in sync? That is one hell of a good question, man.
David, you want to start that, and then we'll go to Brian.
City. I thought we were actually incredible against City.
I was going to say the same.
Yep, exactly the same here.
I don't think it's been that far. It's just our biggest issue is consistency in who we do it against. You know, like you know, it does seem to me that we play much better against teams that are better than us because we rise to an occasion, and then of course they have more of the ball, and when they have more of the ball, it suits the players that we have. But that City game, we were rocking, and it was we let in a couple of goals and there's a couple of errors, but that's going to happen against a team that's as good as City. So it's there. It's just a matter of doing it regularly and finding a way to do it against teams that aren't going to play the same way as these teams play.
Spot on. I think the only like easy performances I can regard that weren't better teams than us are Crystal Palace, maybe, because we were already 2-0 up, I think, before even they went a man down, and it was a cakewalk then. And then perhaps Brentford, despite it just being like a 2-0 scoreline, it was quite an easy game. But yeah, spot on.
Good Brian, Brian or Adam, did you guys have anything to add to that?
Not really. I mean, I more or less said that City was last time I thought we played with intensity, even though, like you said, we made a few mistakes. But I mean, it's City, man. That happens. And the fact is, we got the goal. We played with high intensity, and it worked out well for us. And then, of course, in typical Spursy fashion, we go and lose to a relegation tier side. Hate to end that now with negativity, but it is what it is, and I really wish it wasn't. Like,
Yeah, Brad.
So I was saying the last time I can probably remember where everyone gave the aggression, it was probably Battle of the Bridge. In honesty, I would really say, like, obviously the Man City was a wonderful performance. It's a wonderful performance, but where they showed grit, determination, intensity, and showed that game, all right, they lost their heads a bit, but they showed how much that game meant to them, and where they were all right on top gas would probably be Battle of the Bridge.
Yeah, I mean that's a while ago. I think there's been games that have been, they put it out there, but I think that's such a great.
Yeah, but read the question: vicious intensity.
Yeah,
I'm not talking about performances. I'm talking about vicious intensity.
United 6-1 last year.
I don't think that was just so shit, mate. And we just battered them off that red card.
They were bad.
I see where you're coming from. But for me, the last one, I can honestly say, for 90 minutes, absolutely on it was for vicious intensity, as the question was Battle of the Bridge.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I get what you're saying because you're being very literal about the vicious intensity. When I think of vicious intensity, I think of like high pressing. I think of everybody working together in a flow of some kind, and it doesn't necessarily mean fouling and those other things. But I get where you're coming from there, Brian. I think that it has been a long time that we've seen a performance like that. That is just there's the dark arts are in it. They're going for it. They're aggressive. They're making another team feel really uncomfortable. That keeps happening to us from teams. I think that's the frustrating thing is you're seeing teams do it to us. Burnley did it to us. Burnley came at us in that first half and press, and they're physical. They're strong in the midfield. They were doing all the things that we should be starting games against other teams and doing, and we're not seeing that. And that's the frustrating thing. You're going, this is Burnley. We should be going at them, making them so uncomfortable. We're way better than them. We should just show them that we're way better than them immediately. We did it in like the first 3 minutes and then just fell off. And it was like, what is going on here? We got another super chat I want to get to real quick here from this.
The food's on fire.
Yeah, he's just throwing them out there. Cheers, buddy. Yeah, my name was mentioned in it, so I thought I'd take it first. The players take all the blame all the time, Brian, and that's the point. Conte takes none of the blame because of idol worship. They sing his song. I have criticized Conte on this stream, and I criticized Conte on yesterday's stream, and I recognize your point, and I don't think it's good to necessarily not criticize managers, but I think Dave's point to this is that we've done that. And every manager that gets sacked, and we have the same players making the same mistakes over and over again. At some point, you kind of have to sit back and go, well, not even kind of. You have to sit back and look at the evidence and suggest and say it isn't the manager's fault here. It isn't idol worshiping in that. Recognizing that he's not to blame in this case. He just isn't. It's the players that we have and the rot that we've talked about in the club that we haven't turned it over fast enough and put us in a position where that isn't the case, that any manager could come in because the players are good enough. You're asking to polish a turd here, and it's just not possible. David, look, you want to go next there, buddy?
Yeah, we can put it down to idol worship. I mean, not really the case because I've backed every other manager that's been here, but don't be the ones coming to me then complaining once he goes and someone else comes in and the same problems arise. It's happened time and time and time again. When are we going to wake up here? People started getting on to me about Harry Winks and all at the very, very start. And look where we are now. People going mad about Harry Winks. I tell the truth early and people don't want to hear it. That's the problem, in my opinion. Look, when it comes to Conte, yeah, question him all you want, but no one questioned him when he was winning titles at Inter. No one questioned him when he's winning stuff at Juve. No one's questioning him when he took the Italian manager job because it's one of the hardest world football to get. But all of a sudden he comes to Tottenham Hotspur. We have to start questioning his methods that has been so successful everywhere else. Yeah. I don't get it. The problems were here before Conte came in. We hired Conte to try and fix the problems. Now he's eliminated some of the problems, but he's never going to be able to fix them all. The reason why we hired him was to fix the problems that Daniel Levy knows is there with the squad. But yet if Daniel Levy knows the problems are there with the squad and he's going out and getting someone experienced as Conte to try and steer this ship to the end of the season, but then why don't us fans, why don't we talk about the squad enough?
Yeah, I would just say if there were like a cake of blame, I think to, maybe make a middle ground sort of argument here. to kind of appease both sides. If there is a cake of blame, I mean, Conte for sure takes the slice. At the end of the day, everybody takes the slice. But
Slice
to
is
really
big.
point him out,
It's a sliver, though.
point him out maybe more than others as the main person to be taking the most slices of blame, I think is maybe what Dave is trying to offer here, is that sure, he takes some proportion of blame, but to make that like the highlight is perhaps, going a bit too far. And, maybe you should be looking probably elsewhere at other players and et cetera.
People that blame Conte, you come in and manage Tottenham Hotspur, right? Give it 9-10 games when they start winning. And then when Harry Winks and Davinson Sanchez and people start letting you down, then don't come out complaining then that it's not you, it's them guys. Because we have to understand the problems, all these same problems we're seeing now, we're all here before Conte. But now we want to make it a Conte issue, like we made it a Josie issue, like we made it a Poch issue, like we made it a Nuno issue. When is this going to stop? And people are going to sit there and say, look, I feel sorry for managers that coming in here because they're coming in here with one arm, you know what I mean? And there's only so much they can do with this ship. You will not see a manager succeed here properly until the likes of Winks and Sanchez and players like that are no longer squad players, and we've replaced them in the squad, and you have everyone where you can make subs and you can make changes when players get injured, and the drop-off isn't so costly. Now, the drop-off in quality when Conte puts out his best 11 and it works against Man City, and then we lose the game in the second half against Brighton. Is the drop-off in quality on Harry Winks on Conte, or is that on Harry Winks? Well, I mean, it's on Harry Winks because it's happened under every single manager, not Conte. People are expecting Conte to come in and expect Winks to start doing the basics, which is open up your body and be on the half turn when receiving the ball. Start playing forward passes, this, that, and the other. I mean, the guy hasn't done it under any other previous manager. So why all of a sudden are we now saying it's a Conte's fault and not looking at the likes of Harry Winks or Davinson Sanchez, who when they have played have cost us continuously? And they've been a massive part of why we've been on the slide the last couple of weeks, because they've played and they've made errors after errors after errors that have cost us. So, I mean, look, well, people can call it idol worship. It's not the case. I mean, I worship any manager that comes in and takes the Tottenham Hotspur job anyway. I don't know. What I will say is I'm being realistic. I'm not ignoring the problems that has faced the club before Antonio Conte came in.
Yeah, good point. Let's, do you want to get to the super chat?
Cheers, Kuva.
Absolutely legendary super chat from Kuva. Just for the donation alone, really. I mean, thank you so much, man. Honestly, I wouldn't tell you to spend that much money. Thanks anyway, because you made the choice to supporting our channel. So fantastic stuff. He says we hire and fire some of the most highly decorated and successful managers from all over the world, and they all fail. It's either one of the most astonishing coincidences in football history, or the problem lies elsewhere. I mean, we all know what elsewhere is and who elsewhere is, Kuva. So yeah, so I have to say that really.
It's spot on. I mean, it's hard. You can't argue with that. You just can't. And I think both things can exist at the same time. I think you can 100% blame the manager in an in-game scenario where he makes a bad decision with a substitution, or maybe he gets his tactics wrong when it comes to the shape that he's playing.
Yeah, but Brian, that's if you have all the players there.
Of course,
tactics right and substitution rights.
Yeah, for sure. And again, I recognize that. I'm just saying you can, but it comes back to what Kuva's saying here. After doing this with many of the successful managers who have been very good at every job they've been in, and this is the first job this happens, it's evidence to suggest that it's clearly not the manager's issue here. It's an issue of support with those managers and an issue with the players that are currently in the squad and not rotating them. It's blatantly obvious that that's the case. I mean, I think we all know it. And I think True Sets Free is he still wants to see us to give Conte some of the blame. I think that little sliver of cake that Jack was talking about is
I think it's what everybody could agree on. I think
it's a touch. It's a touch. Sure. Like you
just how much attention you want to give it.
I think in this case, we're giving way too much attention to it. I think we should probably just move on from that. But True Sets Free, thank you so much for all of your super chats.
It's unbelievable the sport he's given us today.
Yeah, been fantastic.
Hopefully you can golf today, Truth. Hopefully you can golf today. Over here, it's looking like you can't, but hopefully it's a bit better.
Where is he? Where is he again, Jack?
He's over in beautiful Massachusetts, which much cleaner air.
I think it's still a bit cold. I mean, we got a blanket of snow this morning. We're further south than the Massachusetts.
We had that yesterday. It's all gone now, sadly.
Nice.
Hopefully you can get a Friday golf in.
We've talked again. The questions keep coming back to Conte, and of course that there's understanding. That's understanding. Let's get back to the game a little bit before we wrap it up. An hour and 14 minutes in here. We've got Leeds at the weekend. I want to go to you, David, because I haven't had a chance to ask you about what you think we're likely to see in this case. Shape wise, it's probably picks itself. There's not a lot of options here. What we're going to do is probably 3 at the back. 3-4-3 is like the likelihood. Who do you expect to stand up and take what Conte has said and respond to it in the best possible way, other than maybe over and above Harry Kane, because I think Harry Kane is an obvious answer there. Is there anybody else in the squad to sort of take the reins and get this team responding to Conte and motivated?
Yeah, I think Sonny. I think Kane. Obviously Kane, Højbjerg, Lloris, Dyer is another one I'd probably throw in there as well. To be fair. Look, there's certain players at this club that absolutely hate losing. They don't like it. They want to win trophies. Then there's other people that are happy to take the pay packet. They don't really, winning isn't everything to them. And that's a part of the problem. Look, I do believe we will stand up against Leeds, to be honest with you.
You're feeling positive about it, David?
Yeah, even though Harry Winks plays, look, we should have enough to beat them. But my big concern is no matter what Kane, Son and the rest do to be able to get us goals, if Winks can't stand up to getting his pocket picked, we're going to concede goals. And it's just, look, I do think we'll win this one. And the reason why I think we'll win is because they're off the pack of playing Leeds, they're off the pack of playing Liverpool. So for me, I do think there'll be a bit of tiredness in their legs from them games. And I think we win just purely because we're catching them at the right time.
Yeah, that's for sure. Brian, I know you have to go soon. So your thoughts on... what do you expect to see from Spurs reaction wise from the loss and from what Conte said, and where do we get something over Leeds?
I hope we get a good performance. First of all, that's the most important thing. Obviously 3 points is a little bit more important than the performance, but we need to come out. The times we've come out fighting, like Liverpool, like Man City, and we've set the agenda and set the pace and got off to a fast start. We've taken over from there. And we need to do this because for people that haven't been to Ellen Road before, those fans are going to be right on it. It's a very, very hostile place to go. They will be fully behind their team. And it needs to be a fast start because Leeds will come out all guns blazing. And we just need to make sure that we're up to it. I do get concerned. There's no doubt with what David's been saying the whole time. Harry Winks playing is a major issue. But hopefully the defence will be able to sort it out and we'll get Kane and Son being back to their usual best or as near as they can be because as we know, for the last few years, the whole thing has been if Son and Kane are playing, then we've got a chance. Got a chance. And if they're not on their game, and I mean, the very thought of Rafinha running down the wing at our players scares the crap out of me. On their point, I mean, it's great that they've got Calvin Phillips out and other big people out. But you can see the impact he had when he came on from at half-time against Manchester United. 2-0 down and within moments, 2-2, and he's all over the place. He's a major, major, major concern, and we need to keep him quiet. Do we have the players to do it, like at wing-backs? Well, we'll soon find out.
If Reguilón's fit or not. I wonder about that situation.
Exactly. I mean,
we just saw that the press conference has been embargoed, and we won't see quotes until tonight. Is that true? I mean, that's a bit messed up. Are you looking that up, David?
I'm trying. Yeah, I can't see anything on it. But look, what I will say is, I'd say there's probably pretty damning quotes in there. And look, if you take probably Conte's quotes from the last game against Burnley, I feel if we lose, he walks.
Jeez.
Do you know what, David? I was actually thinking not so much as that. I think Borough. I think if we go out in the FA Cup.
We have new quotes from Conte, by the way, from posted by Fabrizio Romano, with a quote that says, "I'm committed to Tottenham. Our chairman Daniel Levy knows very well I'm here to help the club. We'll help the club until the end. Hashtag THFC. This is the reality. He knows this, and he knows that we are working very hard." Interesting. So again, it's just his emotional response is I think that's what happens. He cares so much about winning that when he doesn't win, and he doesn't win in the fashion that the way we lost to Burnley, especially coming after the win against
not a good
City.
loser. No,
yeah, he just doesn't lose well, and I appreciate that.
From Karen Klopp to Pep Guardiola complaining about the
best managers
blade grass, like they're all
bad. The best managers respond that way, right? Like, I mean, that's the nature of it. Good managers who win regularly don't want to lose, and they don't lose very often, and that's a positive thing.
I have to say one thing before I do go, and Kuba's just said it as well, and you said it.
That's such
until
a good
the
point.
end. That could be
tomorrow.
That could be tomorrow. That could be next week. That could be 2 weeks. We're hoping, and I pray to God. Listen,
I don't think he means that, though. I don't think he means
my final thing before I go, and I will say my normal thing to
also
go.
Give us a score prediction too, bro.
I will give you. I will give you a score prediction now. As much as I hate to say this, or no, I don't hate to say this. I'd much rather Conte and Levy be there than no Conte.
Exactly.
That's what this comes down to. My score prediction. Well, I was going for 3-2 because of obvious reason if I'd been there. But I'm going to go for 2-1. But it all hinges on them coming out, all guns blazing. So yeah, I shall leave you on that note. Jack and Dave, it's always a pleasure, mate. I'll speak to you both very, very soon. Adam and Ireland, I'll talk to you.
Good luck today, buddy. Let us know how it goes.
Everyone in the chat, have a great weekend. Love you all, and most importantly, and as always, Levy out.
Nice one, Brad. Cheers, buddy. So yeah, let's go to you, Adam. Let's get a score prediction from you, and what do you think? What do you want to see at the weekend?
What I want to say, I always just keep a clean sheet and just open up Leeds like a flipping, like how I open up a pack of potatoes, just absolutely lay into them. Like, but that's not going to happen after like recent performance. Like, let's be real now. And I know Leeds are hard to open up, but I definitely think we'll concede with the way we're going about it. But I'm going for a 3-1 score. That might be too generous, but I mean, just on the basis that Leeds are easy to open up. I said it 3 times now. That's literally my only reason for thinking we'll win, because I mean, even like when we've been in bad form in the past, like we've somehow managed to turn Leeds over and like defeat them. So, or I take that we will concede though. So I mean, that's really the only thing I can say about it.
Yeah, interesting. You brought up our recent fixtures against Leeds. I think we've won 3, they've won 2 in the last 5, and there's been goals in every game. It's rarely low scoring. It's really low scoring with Leeds in general in any game with any team.
Yeah, Leeds are an attacking team as well. They're just going to see effort and just like go full blast at us. Yeah, and I'm worried now with Winks in that midfield. If he wants to, do this twinkle toes nonsense now, like he can't afford to do that. Like,
yeah, I feel you there, Adam. Jack, what are your score predictions, and what do you expect to see?
Geez, they've been having some recent hammerings, which kind of
they're open. There's goals to be scored,
which makes me feel. I never actually do these sort of predictions, so I'm actually going to go for like a 4-2 or like a 4-1 or a 4-2. I think it's going to be just a end-to-end sort of game. I mean, when do really Leeds play a boring game? It's always, they always test some team. They kind of always just test some team's kind of nerve, because either they get the best of them with their sort of style, or that team just absolutely opens them up, kind of like Adam was saying. And let's say we're that team that does that. You could see it being like a 4-2. Maybe we'll concede a few mistakes with, perhaps maybe Winks or other players, losing it in bad positions, but we could also easily just go up their end and score, right away as well. I mean, it is probably one of the leakiest defenses right now in the league. They are gaining some players back despite losing some at one stage. Bielsa was using like his under-19s team.
He had like 4 guys from the under-19s on the bench on a regular basis. It was pretty
spectacular considering that was happening.
He played a couple of them on a couple of occasions as well. Like they actually got out and did pretty well.
Yeah. You gotta admire Bielsa. But I'm gonna say 4-2. 4-2 is a good show. Be a crazy kind of game that we won't be able to make sense of.
Yeah, I think there'll be a lot of goals. I'm with you there. David, your score prediction and thoughts on what you think we'll see.
Look, I do think you'll see certain players in the Tottenham squad come out, wanting to put some wrongs right for sure. Look, if Harry Winks start, see, this is my problem. Look, do you know what? Fuck it, I'm gonna go for it. I'll go 5. I'll go 5-1. Look, Leeds are open.
Hey, love it.
Gets in there, David.
we have Harry Kane and we have Son up front. They will get goals. You put the chances on the plate, they will get goals. I do think the chances will be provided with how open Leeds are at the back. I just fear about Harry Winks in the midfield. It is my biggest fear. But look, it should be enough to beat Leeds, whether he's in there or not. But I did say the same against Southampton. I did say the same against Wolves, and I did say the same against Burnley. So, I just think
don't take any betting based on David's predictions.
I do think the fact that Leeds are open and we have the strikers to put them to the sword, I think that's what wins us the game at the end of the day.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with you there, David. I think that's true. I'm not gonna say that we're gonna win by that much. I think we are leaky as well, and we're gonna struggle with some of their press and some of their sort of, all guns ablaze in football. 3-2 is my scoreline. I think we're gonna win. I think Harry Kane with a couple, or he's gonna be involved in a lot of it. I think Decky gets on the score sheet again. I think this is the type of team that he'll be able to get in behind, and he'll be able to do similarly to what he did to City. We'll see a good game from him. That midfield is worrisome for me though, and I think there'll be some errors from Winks that'll lead to goals, but we'll have enough to get past them, and we'll score more than them. It'll be one of those games. There'll be lots of back and forth. I think lots of different chances, some controversy, but I think like David said, I think we'll have more than enough to get past them. It could be hopeful as well based on the recent results, but I'm going to go with David as well. I'd be positive on this one and try to think that we're going to get one. I was not positive against Burnley. I was very worried that what happened was going to happen. So I think this game suits the way Spurs have been playing. It suits the situation where teams come at us and are open at the back. Burnley didn't do that. They came at us, but they also were very structured defensively. And I don't think Leeds have that. I think Leeds are basically porous and shit defensively. So that plays in our hands. I want to thank you guys. I think that wraps up. And unless you guys feel like you want to add anything.
No,
all good. Awesome. Thanks, guys, for coming on here. David, I know we're basically preaching to the choir here when it comes to getting them over to your channel and promote what you're doing. But tell everybody about what's going on this weekend on your channel and what they're going to tune into.
Yeah, so starting early tomorrow, I think it's going to be 9:30, and we will be doing a bit of a pre-match build-up. Maybe not as long as we usually go for because of the time, but we will do some sort of pre-match build-up. And then we'll be doing the watch-along as well tomorrow. That'll start at 12:15, so make sure people tune in for that. Just on the watch-along, we actually, in the background, we do have the timer and the scoreboard and all that will be coming in. We're going to try and put it out for the Everton game when we play Everton. So just bear with us on the watch along. I know maybe it doesn't look the best for a visual, but we are getting there just to let people know. And then we'll be doing player ratings later on that evening. And then Sunday, myself and Jack are going to have a day off. I'm going to spend some time with the missus.
There you go.
So Sunday we're off. Yeah. Sunday we're off, and then we'll be back Monday with a fan shop.
Nice. If you're watching, hop on over there. Enjoy the pre-show and enjoy the watch along. The Irish Hotspur, wonderful channel, and love doing the show with you guys. It's always a pleasure. Jack, you'll be obviously partaking with David on that. Anything to add from your channel? You reached 1,000 subscribers recently. I did see that.
Hovering, yeah. I kind of dipped, for a few, which is
did you? You got over and went back down again, or something?
Went back down again, which is nice, anticlimactic. Very
congratulations on that, though. It is a feat.
So it's beautiful. Very, very thankful regardless. Very, very thankful regardless. And I can't wait to surge back over again. And it's just beautiful how many people have, taken me there this quickly as well. It's really very, very thankful. But yeah, Dave and I just did kind of a highlight reaction on Jed Spence, so if you want to take a look at that, the guy's an absolute baller, certainly can make that step up to the Premier League. A few other things going on in the channel as well, especially with Champions League and everything going around, everything from, having kind of big nerdy kind of European chats with Darius, to doing highlight reactions with Dave, and then kind of giving my own thoughts on how to fix Spurs. If that all sounds kind of interesting to you, head on over to the second channel, Flatcap Euro Talk, please.
Yeah, fantastic channel, man. Great content over there, Jack. I love it. Yeah, thanks, guys. So really appreciate you coming on. Always a pleasure. Love the collab on the Fridays. It's a good way to get the weekend started.
Great stuff.
Yeah. Ads, always good to see you as well. Thanks everybody in the comments. Thanks for the super chats. People throwing it in. Really appreciate the support. Just really enjoying the channel and loving doing this despite some of the results. It's a bit painful, but getting to do it with you lot is a pleasure. So cheers everybody. Thanks for watching. We will be back probably post game. We'll probably do something on Sunday. That's been kind of a bit of a habit, maybe a bit of a pop up. Hopefully it's not too controversial. But it's Spurs. It likely likely will be. So we'll probably see you then. If not, we got a podcast on Tuesday, and we'll see you guys then. Thanks for watching. Tune in again, and we'll see you soon. Cheers. Have a good one.
Peace.
Ciao.
Come on.
Leave
Come
you
on,
out.
Spurs.
Tottenham On Tour. Tottenham On Tour.